a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. With me is Jean-Louis Bleau. He is the Executive Director of the Chilliwack Cultural Centre. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
One of the first things I want to know is what kind of credentials do you need to get that type of position?
I think first and foremost, probably a passion for the arts,
Okay.
and a love of the arts and wanting to see the arts succeed. And obviously with that comes an ability to organize and work with budgets and kind of facilitate the work of artists in the space. For me, my own background is actually in music. I'm a choral music conductor and have a master's in choral conducting.
Very good. So now what's the criteria for getting the job? Like what, because you're fairly new at it, I believe, right?
Prior to this, I was the interim director of the Mount Royal University Conservatory. So I've had that administrative experience. In that particular instance, it was focused primarily on arts education, and this is more focused on the performing arts aspect of it for professionals.
Is that Mount Royal in Montreal?
No, Mount Royal in Calgary.
Oh, okay.
Mount Royal University in Calgary.
Oh, okay. So I pronounced your name French. I didn't know. I thought maybe it was French.
My name is French. My background, my family heritage is French, but prior to coming here, I was in Calgary. And I've actually pretty much been an Alberta boy for the most part, and then happy to be here in BC now.
So, okay, so again, you're fairly new to Chilliwack then, is that correct?
Yeah, I've only arrived since September.
So have you learned your way around?
I'm learning about it, yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the area that the center is located in. I like District 1881 and kind of the revitalization that is happening there.
Right.
And so that's been super exciting. I find that I'm able to walk everywhere that I need to go, but it's been wonderful to actually go and visit people out in other areas of Chilliwack and exploring different events that are happening, not only here in Chilliwack, but also in the Fraser Valley, attending Fraser Valley Symphony Orchestra performances in Abbotsford and what have you. So it's been really wonderful.
Right. And it's nice that you get to come to a whole nice new building, right, for the Culture Center.
Well, and the Cultural Center here is amazing. It's such a beautiful space, especially for a city as small as Chilliwack was when the center was built. Chilliwack's growing, and so the center is actually really capable of sustaining that sort of growth within the community. But it's really a beautiful facility. Even coming from Calgary, when I was first toured through, I was just in awe about how much activity takes place in there in terms of art classes, but then also the performance spaces. The Hub International Theater is amazing. It's such a beautiful space.
And having the different rooms, right? So the smaller event, if needed, or the big hub room. So that's really nice as well, right?
It's amazing. And the wonderful thing is being a musician, going through there and actually hearing music played. It doesn't need any sort of assistance with amplification. The spaces are actually really well suited for actually music as well as theater performances, and finding that balance between theater performances and musical performances is rare in a space. So this is really spectacular.
So now, as the executive director, what exactly do you do?
Many things, actually. A lot of it is actually overseeing the general operations of the center. I'm also responsible for curating the performance series that the Center Society sponsors, and then also supporting community arts initiatives. So supporting the Chilliwack Players Guild, this Chilliwack Symphony Orchestra, the Chilliwack Metropolitan Orchestra, secondary characters, all the groups that want to facilitate and do performances in the center. That's what I get to work on and collaborate with. And so it's there's a lot going on. Right now we're looking at the sponsorship, how we can sponsor the next season, and those companies that might be willing to support the Chilliwack Cultural Centre and the activity that takes place there, reviewing some of our classes and how we can improve that, and what our needs are in that regard. And then we're also looking at the idea of having sponsorship. Membership in the center. So really creating a sense of ownership. One of the first things that I did, and it may seem really, really small, but when I talk to people when they're at a performance is I actually welcome them to your home for the performing arts.
Right.
It's not my home, it's not the
Right.
staff's home, it's the community's home for the performing arts, and really kind of creating that sense of ownership with people in the community that you belong here. We want you to come here and experience art and celebrate art with us.
Right. Yeah. Now you mentioned the people that work there. I know they depend a lot on volunteers, but how many actually employees are there?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Actually, I know that we're between 25 and 35 employees across the various areas. There's a lot that's going on. When you add instructors into that, it might be actually even more because our instructors are considered employees, and with all the art classes that we do, that's another kind of employment category that we have. And then, of course, we the volunteers, which are so amazing to work with.
Now, the art gallery that's there, I think that's kind of its own entity, is it?
It's still part of the Cultural Centre, but it's curated by the Chilliwack Visual Artists Association. And so that's their space to present works of visual arts and installations. And so they're responsible for curating that space, but it still is part of the Cultural Centre and part of the entity that the city with these other organizations work to build. And so there's core partners that are part of the center, and I just oversee that and support, again, those community organizations.
So when they have let's just say the show, I know there's like ladies laugh nights or whatever it is, who makes that decision to invite them there, or do they contact the center?
That's actually a great question, because I think there's a lot of people that sometimes get confused with the shows that are presented. So the majority of shows that are presented are actually groups that rent our space, that want to present in our space, that want to bring a show to the center. So the center itself isn't necessarily responsible for all of the activity that takes place there. For example, we have the Chilliwack School of Performing Arts. They're doing Cinderella in there right now. They're actually an external group that's coming in and presenting some of the tribute shows that we had. We had Powder Bleau in. That was an individual group that came to the Cultural Centre because they wanted to present there. So they rented our space. The Chilliwack Cultural Centre the Chilliwack Arts and Cultural Centre Society sponsors a series, and that series are the events that I'm responsible for bringing in. But that is roughly between 20 to 30, 35 events annually. And so it's not within the scope of everything that takes place at the center. It's only a fraction of what goes on there. And I think that's wonderful because there's such diversity.
Right. No, I know, because I used to volunteer there. I know you can go and pick up programs, right? That give you a list from, how if you're picking up a program now, how many months does it cover?
So the one that we're advertising now is January through to the end of April. And that's when our last show is for the series. And then in May and June, there will be some activities. But for the most part, our season runs September through to the end of May.
Right.
And that's when the majority of our activity takes place. And then there are some summer events that will happen as well.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a really, really big job overseeing that whole thing, right?
It's a big job, but it's also exciting. And I have the wonderful benefit of working with some really amazing people. And the one thing that I noticed when I first arrived is I tried to sit down with as many of the staff as possible. And everyone there is passionate about the arts, but they're particularly passionate about the center and the center's role within the community. And so really tapping into that has made it such a joy. Before coming over here, it was working on with our development officer staff about how we can actually reach out for sponsorship, how we can maximize the patron experience, how we can really embellish what we do at the center. And so it's exciting because we're all really excited about what takes place at the center, but then how we can make it better.
For sure. Now, I remember the old location they used to have, and the one person I know that has moved to the new location is Jamie.
Okay, yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, everybody knows Jamie. I would think that, everybody that works there knows Jamie, right? So I know he transitioned quite well from one location to the other. And I just don't know. I know that the Players Guild, of course, as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the old facility, but it was...
I never did.
well, it's certainly quite small in comparison. So it's nice to see that they have this whole new center. How important is it to have local, whether it's performers or shows, compared to, say, people coming in from Vancouver or wherever?
I love the mix of shows that come in, but for me, the local community shows are what I want to focus on, what I want to enhance, and what I want to actually support. The wonderful thing is actually that there's such a vibrant artistic culture in Chilliwack, and that's the one thing that was immediately apparent. And attending the Chilliwack Players Guild performance that they recently did was The Outsider. Was fantastic. It was hilarious. I loved the show, and it was just top notch. When you think about a small city, the Chilliwack Players Guild is just really exceptional. And then you have the Chilliwack School of Performing Arts. So these wonderfully talented students, and the production of Cinderella that they're putting on right now is just kind of tipping things over the edge. And so there's so many exciting things that are taking place here that just being able to witness and find ways of supporting that further. And, you know, I really want to make the community aspect of artistic creation central to what the center does, so much so that we're actually looking at trying to find funding to support an arts incubator. So bringing artists together to talk about what kind of performance we can create as a collective. And so really working with not individual groups that exist, but people that are passionate about the arts, from Indigenous communities to individuals that are part of all the other groups here, bringing them together and kind of going, what can we create? Another thing that I'm excited about is, can we bring all those core partners that are involved in the center at the community level together to present some sort of winter concert in the center? And so I'm wanting to talk with the various groups about that and find ways that we can create that performance experience where the Chilliwack Players Guild tells a story, and the Chilliwack Symphony Orchestra and Metropolitan Orchestra and the choirs in the area can punch that story with musical moments. It's something that I've done in Calgary, and it's something that I really want to bring here.
So it'd be nice to hear that, to see that, something new. I for me, I always love that when I find out something new is going to be happening in the community, whatever that is. Again, let's just get back to the volunteers for just a second. How important is it to have the volunteers?
The volunteers are vitally important to the center. I think more and more it's difficult to actually operate a theater, a center, because of the costs that are associated with it. And all those costs are actually mainly associated with labor, with tech, especially, as well as kind of the front of the house side of things. But without volunteers, it would almost be impossible to actually run the center, and it would be particularly impossible for community and local groups to be able to afford the center. So the volunteers actually allow us the opportunity to be able to make the theater accessible and allow performance to take place. And so it's amazing. And again, the volunteers that I've met are just so passionate, and the opportunity to come in and enjoy the performances. I mean, that's another aspect of my job, is attending performances. So I'll work a full day, and in the evening I get to come to a show, and coming to that show is part of my job. And like, how cool is that? So,
and I just want to say for potential volunteers, like, if you're thinking about, the beauty is once the show, that front of house is finished, like once the show starts, you're allowed to go in now. Well, you're encouraged to go in and sit there and watch the performance, right?
It's the perk. You get to actually see the shows. And I mean, there's so many things that are taking place at the center. So you can see such a variety of events and performances. And that's what I've really loved since being here, is that there's just been such a range, from music to theater to dance. It's just so wonderful to see.
And I just want to let you know, the reason why I stopped is due to health issues. I just have a problem with certain things, but I did enjoy it. It was really great. One of the things that had changed for volunteers, and I don't know if it's still the same, is that you had to have your civet right. Everybody had to have their civet right. Is that still true?
We're still aiming for that. I think it's beneficial for people to have that. It allows them kind of that flexibility, but also, like, for them, if they want to work in other areas and volunteer in other areas. So I think that's hugely beneficial to the volunteers, and we pay for that training. But the other aspect of it is, as a volunteer, if things get busy in a certain area, being able to jump in and help out, and that's what makes the volunteerism so special for us.
Right, and you can use it in your own life for different. If you're want to have a party where you're renting a hall and you need to have a servant right, if you're going to have alcohol, there you have it, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy enough to do. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can get there, serve it, right? That's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people to get involved. And like I said, you get to see the shows, which is really, really nice. I have to say that I enjoyed it when there was during COVID time when they were taking people they had to show that they had their vaccine, so right at the door, and I got to do that quite often, and I loved that because then when that was finished, I got to go home, and I lived just on the street, so from the center, so it was really nice. But I do appreciate the fact that you have a big job to do. Now, what are some of the other things that you hope to see in the future?
Well, right now, I hope to see more people coming out to events. I really hope to see more community-minded events and collaboration.
Right.
I'm big on collaboration. So I think sometimes artists and arts groups, we become so focused on our own practice that we fail to actually support other people's practice or community practice. And so I really want to see and find and facilitate ways for groups to come together. So like I was talking about that idea of that Winter Fantasia concert, where we can have the Chilliwack Players Guild telling a story, and we use the musicians and the choristers to punch the story with music to bring that to life, ways to bring in the visual artists. Another thing that I'm very, very keen on and starting work just in the initial stages of starting work on this is a takeover festival. So having the University of the Fraser Valley Faculty of Arts students take over the center for a weekend. They would select the performances, they would curate those performances, they would market those performances, they would present those performances, and our role would be to step back and support them and facilitate them in that. And I think that would be just a fantastic way of bringing that demographic into the theater. And then it will also open us up to the amazing work that young people are doing that they maybe haven't got the recognition for because they're still in school, they're still in the beginning stages of their career. And, you know, being able to see what they're creating and what resonates with them will allow us to actually move and push and pull in those directions. And I think that's one thing that I'm particularly excited for. So that arts incubator to try and bring artists together to collaborate, and then that takeover festival.
And that's a win-win for everybody.
It is,
right?
Yes, yeah. And I mean, in talking with the university, I mean, the students can use that towards practicum credit for their studies. And it's for them, it's practical experience working in arts administration, working in the facility, and gives them a taste of the type of career that they could pursue once they graduate. But it also gives them valuable experience that they can then add to their resume, which I think is so important. So that takeover festival is one that I'm particularly passionate about.
That would be exciting to see, because I know that a lot of young people are just so clever, so brilliant at what they do. So it's would be really, really nice to be part of that, as in being in the audience or being a volunteer, or like your role that you would take in it. So that'd be really awesome, actually. Yeah,
they see the world with fresh eyes in some respects, because they're everything is new, everything is fresh, and so it's just a blank slate, and they can do anything they want with it.
That's nice. Wonderful. That's pretty nice. Now, talking about seeing things with new eyes, that for you, that's true too. You coming in here and seeing things differently, like, because what you bring, right, maybe have been different from the previous executive director or whatever. So that's kind of nice as well.
Yeah, no, it's been really wonderful, and I think in some cases a little bit jarring for the staff, because everyone's now uses the term spitballing. I'm an ideas person, so I will spitball ideas and I will throw things out there. And I think it was shocking at first, because there's this, we have to do this, we have to do this. And that was never the case. It was always just to toss out ideas and go, what do you think? Do you think this would be good? Here's an idea I have. Like, what are your thoughts on this? And that's allowing us to make some changes, which we hope will improve the patron and the audience experience. You know, we actually sat down as a management team and really talked through what is the experience of a person who thinks about coming to a concert, then decides to buy the ticket. You know, how are they navigating through our website, which we realize is challenging, so we're working on fixing that. Then they arrive at the center, and how is that ticket taking process, which you were involved in? You know, can we change that? Can we improve that? What's their experience of the concession? What's their experience when they go into the theater? And just finding ways of doing better.
Right. Yeah. I just have to say, as a volunteer, and even when it's at its busiest moments, people were for the most part, pretty good. Very few complaints. you know, I mean, there was the worst part was during the COVID when they had to fill out this form in case there was somebody, they came in contact with somebody who had was tested positive. That was the longest process, but otherwise people were really pretty good, I think, you know, because they're there because they want to be there, right?
Yeah.
It's not because they have to be there. So it's not like well, I mean, if you're willing to sit and wait at a doctor's office, this is more pleasurable in the long run. So I think it was pretty good.
No, it's actually been fantastic. And the people of Chilliwack are amazing. I think the one thing that we recognize is that Chilliwack has expanded significantly. And does everyone know that we're here? Those people that are new coming in to the community who are new, do they know what we do? And so how do we better connect with those people as well as maintaining the audience that we already have?
Right. No, one of the things that I just want to touch on is sponsorship. I know that there's plaques, different areas and all with people's names on it because they sponsored somehow. I'm not quite sure how that all works.
There's a variety of different levels of sponsorship or ways to sponsor. I think there's the 88 keys, which is those plaques, which are in the shape of a piano keyboard. That supports the center. There's also the I believe it's called Take Your Seat, where you can sponsor seats in the theater or buy sponsorship of those seats. We're looking at other sponsorship where we're actually gonna rebrand our season next year, and we have 6 exciting seasons that we're putting events into, and then asking groups, businesses in the community to become series sponsors, presenting sponsors, and then at other levels of sponsorship, including actually one that we want to start, which is Friends of the Center. So a sponsorship for anybody that just wants to actually sponsor the activity that takes place at the center. That's not onerous, that an individual would be able to afford, and you don't have to be a business in the community, and, you know, being listed as a friend of the center. And that's part of that membership, that drive that we're doing, you know, wanting people to really take ownership in the center. So we're looking at an Explore the Arts membership pass. We're looking at a Joy Years membership pass so those individuals who are 55 plus, it would afford, you know, ticket discounts. Also, we're looking at events, like how can we maximize the experience of coming into the center? Can we create a reception of some sort for our Joy Years patrons before they go into a certain event? We're looking at a club called U28, so under 28. So those individuals who are fresh out of university, trying to pursue a professional career, might actually have gotten married, maybe you're starting a family, have a house and a mortgage. There's not a lot of disposable income for them to attend performances. So we want to create a category special for them to say, we want you to come into the theater, and we recognize that there's a lot of financial burden that you might have right now because you just came out of university. So that's going to be 17 to 28. And then we want to actually have a kids club. So we're thinking of calling it Bandit because of the raccoons and stuff like that. So kind of keeping that cute. But, you know, with all those membership levels, allowing or facilitating art classes at discounted rates, in addition to performances and other events that we can actually bring to people that sign up for those categories. And then it's a newsletter specifically tailored to those demographics that we can talk about what we're doing at the center and get people really excited.
Very good. I think we've pretty well touched on everything.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of ideas that we're working on that we're hoping to launch. I think the season we're hoping to launch to the public in May. We'll be pursuing sponsorship activity for that season probably through March and April. And then also during the June, July months, that's when we'll be launching that membership drive and really asking people to become members of the Cultural Centre.
Very good. All right, that sounds awesome. So I'm just going to speak to the audience here. Well, thank you everybody for watching. You've been listening to Jean-Louis Bleau, and as I said, he's the executive director of the Chilliwack Cultural Centre. Anything you want to know about the Culture Centre, just Google Chilliwack Culture Centre, and everything is there that you need to know. Whether you want to volunteer or check out the season, the coming up shows, anything like that, it's all there. Okay, and I'm sure if you want to talk to Jean-Louis, I'm sure he'll answer you.
Please, yes. I'm looking to meet more people in the community and just understand what people are interested in.
Very good.
I would love that.
There you go. Thank you, everybody. I hope you appreciate the show. You know, it'd be nice if you like and share, and subscribing is a bonus too. So at least for me. Anyway, so thanks everybody. Take care and peace out. Now I gotta find the off button.
a sense of community. Chilliwack's a place to be, a sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.